everybody's favorite. I can't open by calling him a LeBron hater, although him and LeBron have a rich history going back many years. Ric Bucher, Fox Sports NBA analyst. Rick, how are you, man?
I'm good, Mac. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm excellent. Listen, the NBA has really gotten hot fire in the last, 2, 3 weeks? Jimmy
Yeah.
Butler traded to the Warriors. They're on
Yep.
fire.
Yep.
Luka and LeBron joining forces. You've got the 76ers cratering the Phoenix Suns going down the tubes. Where do you want to start, Rick? So much happening around the league right now.
Well, I think we have to start with Luka and LeBron,
Probably a good idea.
considering we just saw them play against the Nuggets and then against the Mavericks, and now everybody has them as going to the NBA Finals and winning another championship. So
Something
I
like that,
guess
yeah.
we, I guess we should start right there. Are you among that? Are you
Well,
on that wagon?
I didn't jump on the wagon, but as soon as the trade was made, I, kind of looked at the landscape in the West. And, at that time, we didn't know about the Warriors. The Suns
Mm,
were still mired. Wembanyama was still playing. But I'm not a firm believer in OKC as a playoff team. Like in the
hmm
playoffs, or, they referee different, it's different sport
Yeah.
in the playoffs. And
Yeah.
I don't think Denver's as good as they were 2 years ago when they won the title.
Yeah.
So I do believe the West is open, and I think the Lakers are going to the Western Conference Finals, and I do believe now they're probably headed to the NBA Finals. I love what that when they put Luka,
Yeah.
Reeves, and LeBron on the court, they are really tough to defend. It has the feel, Rick, of a little Celtics light with Tatum, Brown, and Holiday, just much less defense, obviously, with Luka, LeBron, and Reeves.
Well, there you go. And that's a bigger caveat than you are giving it credit for. And I would also say I don't know that the pieces like who's the Kristaps Porzingis in
Fair.
that
I would
trio?
guess Rui Hachimura.
No, 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 no. You gave me a big three.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if
yeah.
I'm going to look at the Celtics, and I'm going to say big three. I'm saying probably Tatum, Jalen Brown, and Porzingis
Porzingis
by
over Holiday.
default. Well, look, I would put Holiday in that. I don't believe in big threes. I should probably start there. But if we're
Okay.
going to
Yeah.
talk big three and we're going to compare the Lakers to the Celtics because of their top three, and I've seen this elsewhere. I believe my colleague Emmanuel Acho made the same point about this that Austin Reeves has joined the big three, has allowed the Lakers to create a big three, and now that's the same as the big three that LeBron had in Miami and that he might have had in Cleveland at one point. And so, um, I, to me, the big three has always been sort of a false uh, concept in terms of leading to championships. But you bring up a point in terms of like, let's stop short in making the Lakers the next Celtics because what the Lakers don't have, as good as those top three are looking to be, I like Dorian Finney-Smith as a
Mhm.
piece, right? Rui
Certainly.
Hachimura doesn't really fill a void that the top three already provide. And so it's a matter of what's your depth and your versatility. Like
Mm.
where are the other pieces?
Yeah.
When I look at Boston, Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis, but then I've got Drew Holiday, I've got Derek White,
Yeah.
I've got even Al Horford is still a serviceable player at this point. I have all these pieces that can amplify what the big three are. And then those big three kind of do different things,
Yeah.
right? Tatum is rebounder and defender, and Jalen is your go-to guy, whether you want him to be or not. And then Porzingis is your rim protector and your stretch four. And so I think that that's where I'm not so quick to say that the Lakers are going to be conference finals. And even in watching them against Denver, look, here's the reality. It was a big, big game for the Lakers. And it was a
Yes.
big, big game for JJ Redick in particular. Like, I need to show that I can coach my team up in a way that my predecessor did not, particularly against the Denver Nuggets. And there's a pretty easy, I don't want to say easy, it's easily formed, it's not easily done, which is we're just going to crowd the hell out of Jokic and we're going to make somebody else beat us.
Yeah.
Right?
That is
And that's essentially what they
genius.
did.
Yeah.
They muddied up the floor, they fronted him, they backed him, like they just made him play in a crowd the entire time. Nuggets, conversely, did nothing to adjust to this particular version of the Lakers. They played them like, you know what? We haven't always played them well, but we play in the fourth. We get to the fourth quarter. We
It's
start to
ours.
execute. We end up winning. Like, that's just the way it's been. And that's the way they approach that game.
Mm.
And so I don't want, like, I think it's great for the Lakers in terms of their confidence and their belief in JJ and all of that. It was a huge positive. It pretty much erased the debacle against the Hornets only 2 or 3 nights earlier. But the idea that they're going to be that team, I would take the Dallas Mavericks
Oh,
reference, and they had difficulty beating them
well,
without Anthony Davis, without Derek Lively, like without the frontline pieces that make the Dallas Mavericks a dramatically different team.
okay.
So I love what I'm seeing from the Lakers. I'm happy for Lakers fans that like there's something meaningful going on. And I agree with you. I think the West is wide open. I think the entire league is wide open. I don't think there
Oh,
is necessarily a team to beat.
interesting.
But
Um,
but like to say that the Lakers are, they're the ones with the little star next to their name shooting up the charts, not quite ready
yeah.
to give them that.
So let's forget one-offs like Denver and Dallas and Charlotte. Forget those. The last 19 games over that
Yeah.
sample size, the Lakers
Yep.
have the number one defense in the league. Now, obviously,
Okay.
there are caveats. I think 6 or 7 of those were with AD, only like
Yeah.
4 or 5 with Luka.
Yeah.
And they did some of the early games on that schedule were pretty rotten teams. But again, in 19 game sample size is not exactly trivial.
No.
I
No,
think
but
for the
you're
Lakers, it
so
comes down
good.
to me as
T-Mac, I love you. Like I don't need to comment on this. You just made every point that I would make.
what?
Look at the schedule. Who did they play?
Well, it's
A
19
third of
games.
a third of those games were without Anthony Davis.
It's fair.
Look, getting Jared Vanderbilt back helps.
Certainly. So they're
LeBron feeling
flexible,
like I
Rick.
have to, I have to make up for some of AD being gone helps.
Yeah. But look, so Rick, for instance, down the stretch in a close game,
Yeah.
the Lakers, we know they're going to play LeBron, Luka,
Yep.
Reeves, and Rui. Those are your 4 horses.
Yep.
And from my opinion, every night could be different for that fifth spot. It might be Vando for defensive purposes. Maybe they're playing a Trey Young type and they want Gabe Vincent back there. Maybe it's a Dalton Connect hit 6 threes. Hey, we're going to play him down the stretch. He's hot. Maybe it's Jackson Hayes. And I like that flexibility. Again, I
Yeah.
look around the West. Denver just doesn't scare me at this point. I don't think they're as formidable as they were a couple years ago. The injuries have mounted for Murray. Gordon doesn't really look like the same player he was. Michael Porter Jr., and then the other team is OKC, and great regular season team. They feel a little like the Baltimore Ravens. Hey, we're gonna
Yeah.
smash you. We're very exciting and fast and all that. And then you get to the playoffs, and Luka dismantled them last year. Luka took apart the Timberwolves. Okay, he's got a better supporting cast, I think, with the Lakers than he had with the Mavs last year. And
Ooh,
you look
I
at
would
that.
not.
I
I would
don't
not go
know.
there.
Well,
I
I
would
mean,
not go
again,
there.
LeBron's better than Kyrie Irving. LeBron this year is better than Kyrie Irving was last year. And Austin Reeves is your 3. Is PJ Washington better than him? I don't know. PJ Washington,
Well, but it's not. I mean, better how? And I'm not disputing
overall
who's
player. Like
more. I'm not disputing who does more or
PJ Washington works great with Luka. Awesome. Hey, go
right,
stand in the corner. I'll find you because I'm a great wizard with passes.
right.
Now you take away Luka, and it's like, oh, well, PJ Washington, not as effective. Well, Kyrie Irving doesn't really pass. I just think Nico miscalculated this so badly, thinking like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm the man who brought in PJ.
Oh, stop
I
it!
drafted
Stop
Lively.
it!
I traded for
Stop
Gafford.
it!
I
Stop
did
it!
all this.
You,
And Luka's fat and he's out of shape and he doesn't want to
un-
listen. By the way, what do you make of all this? He does
unless you've been
hit the
reading
hookah too
Nico's
much.
emails, you can't suppose that you know why Nico did it. And by everything we've heard, this was not. Look, does Nico have issues? As people have had issues with Luka's lifestyle and conditioning. I mean, it was the question. If you look at what he accomplished in Europe, he should have been the number one pick, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But people had concerns about his body and his lifestyle.
Yeah.
And those are the concerns that the Dallas Mavericks have going forward. And it's not look, all things being equal, he's probably still in Dallas. If not for the fact that they're looking at signing him to a 5-year, $345 million extension. And I look at some of the guys who have been poor in conditioning, have issues with their bodies,
Who are those guys?
and have had injuries.
Like Shaq?
Joel Embiid,
Yeah, those are centers. Shaq, Embiid.
Zion Williamson. Well, he's 270. He
Zion's like
weighs the same as a center. So look.
By the way, Luka's career injury history in the NBA has not been significant. Like Zion and Embiid, those guys are missing like full seasons. Luka's missed nothing like that, right?
No, but he's played with injuries, and he's had the same calf injury 3 times in the last
that's not
year.
Great, obviously.
Right?
But you're guessing on an injury to trade the franchise. By the way, the 2 guys drafted ahead of him, Trae Young, who the Hawks could not trade anywhere if they wanted to, right? Because he has no value. And I believe Marvin Bagley was the other guy. What's he doing? Is he delivering DoorDash now in the Bay Area?
It's a good question exactly where he is right now.
Horrific decisions to take.
Right. Understood. Understood. I'm not debating any of that. I'm just saying you have new ownership in Dallas, somewhat new to the NBA, and they're just looking at 5 years, $345 million for a guy who has had the same injury 3 times in the last year and is not playing and is not changing his diet, didn't come into the season any different after losing in the finals because he wasn't in shape and because he was getting picked on defensively. He came back no different than he had been. So there is no question that it is a roll of the dice. And if Luka decides, you know what, I'm going to start taking care of my body, I'm going to start eating and living better, I'm going to drink less, then he could transform himself, and this will have been a huge mistake by the Dallas Mavericks.
By the way,
but
you're out here in California.
But if it goes the other direction, then J-Mac, we're going to have a conversation about how prescient the Dallas Mavericks were in that they didn't go. Let's put it this. I'll put it simply like this.
What are your odds? Hold on, Rick.
Who do you think? Wait a minute. Hold on. Who do you think feels better about their decision right now? The Los Angeles Clippers not re-signing Paul George for what he wanted, or letting him go sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. And that's not getting anything back in return. That's not getting a defensive player of the year candidate in return. That's not signing him to that money and just letting him walk.
So wait, 35-year-old Paul George, who's never led anybody anywhere since leaving Indiana, since his early days in Indiana.
Okay.
Hasn't done anything.
I take that back. No. Clippers,
where? Okay, see?
Clippers with Kawhi out, if I'm not mistaken. Did they not?
I think they lost to the Jazz, or did they beat the Jazz?
No. They went second round, third round. I have to double check. I want to say they went to the conference finals and then just got smoked. But
Luka in his prime, early prime, just took the Mavs to the finals.
Yes.
Like I don't think that's comparable.
But we're not paying him for what he's done. We're not paying him for what he's done.
But next 5 years,
we're paying him for what he's going to do over the next 5 years.
25 to 30, 26 to 31, that range. I have zero concerns for Luka. Maybe he gets hurt.
You have zero concerns. You have no concerns about Luka Doncic.
Hey,
really?
Do you remember? Okay, how's this? Do you remember Kyrie Irving before LeBron went back to Cleveland? He was the number 1 overall pick, massive ego, super talent, but couldn't win 25 games, couldn't win 30 games.
Yep.
LeBron shows up. Everybody falls in line.
Yep.
Kyrie grows up quickly. Boom, they're in the finals. Okay?
I think it took.
That's all LeBron.
I think it took a little longer. But here's the difference.
Kyrie got sick of it. But you're alongside LeBron. You think Luka's going to show up like reeking of alcohol and out of shape? No,
it's his team. It's his team.
I don't know. No way LeBron's letting that happen. No shot. Plus,
what's LeBron going to do?
You live out here in California.
You know what? This is the same.
Everybody's in shape.
I heard the same argument. You know what? Russ Westbrook, he's going to fall in line. Like,
well, that's different. Russ was limited.
Luka is,
and I didn't like the Russ.
This is Luka's team.
It is.
What's he going to listen
LeBron's
to LeBron?
Still there.
What?
LeBron's still there. It's not like he doesn't have any input.
But it's not his team.
Act like
it's Luka's team.
You're making this sound like a Kobe Shaq kind of thing, where one's going to get shoved out. I don't think they're shoving LeBron anywhere. This team is set up.
They've just said this is the difference. This is the difference. It is sort of a Kobe Shaq comparison. But when they re-signed Kobe didn't have a problem with Shaq staying. Shaq had a problem with being number 2.
Right.
He said, I want out. I don't know that LeBron, if Luka can get him another ring, LeBron's not going to have an issue with it. But LeBron's not driving this bus.
No,
LeBron
but
is not leading this parade.
definitely not. But
That's
Rick,
not
you have to
happening.
admit, if Luka is fatigued, like you saw against Dallas, he was worn
Yeah.
down emotionally. He's still not 100%
Oh
or
my
close
God,
to
here
it.
we go. Here we
And
go.
LeBron
He's
goes off
worn
for
out emotionally.
16.
He's not in shape. He hasn't been in
16 in
shape.
the fourth quarter, 7 of 9 shooting, just took over the game because he's rested. He's not running the friggin' offense. I mean, they got Austin Reeves running the offense and Luka a lot. LeBron's almost saving himself for the fourth quarter. There's just so much to love. All right, let's move on from the Lakers. Get to your Warriors real quick. Jimmy
Yeah.
Butler, Steph Curry, hard charging out of the play-in. Do you think
Yeah.
they end up with a 6 or 5 seed? I don't know.
Boy, the West is just so thick that I don't know if they get out of the play-in. Now, I do
Ooh.
like their chances if they're in the play-in of getting to the playoffs. Overall, whether it's getting to the 6th seed or it's being 7th or 8th, like I think they can get to one of those spots. But I mean, look, Minnesota looks like it's coming on a little bit. I expect, depending on when the Mavericks get healthy, that they're going to be in the mix. I'm over the Kings having some sort of a renaissance. I don't expect Houston, the teams that are up top, I don't expect them to crater. So it's a log jam. I mean, they could play well, and they could look at the Western Conference. We got 9 teams with winning records. Look at the Eastern Conference. We got 6 teams with a winning record guarantees you a playoff spot in the East. A winning record in the Western Conference doesn't even guarantee you necessarily a play-in right now.
So
that's
real quick,
how competitive it is.
I'm looking at strength of schedule, Rick. Minnesota currently is 29th in it's basically the second easiest remaining schedule. Number 1, Phoenix, we'll get to shortly. Then Sacramento, Denver, and the Lakers are 4th. We know they back end the LeBron schedules so he could be on TV when there's no NFL. But it's going to be tough for Phoenix to make the playoffs. Golden State, if you're curious, is at 21. I think we're going to see some teams like the Sixers tank here. I think the Warriors are going to steal that 6th seed. I would not want to face them in the first round.
I'm not, well, I think more than ever, matchups are really going to dictate, exactly who's standing at the end. I do love the addition of Jimmy Butler. He solves so many of their issues. I didn't know this until I looked it up because I was curious, because I was like, Jimmy's getting to the line a lot, and he is shooting at a 90% clip from the free throw line. He's averaging 9 free throws a game since he's come to Golden State. Golden State was bottom 3rd in free throw attempts and dead last in free throw percentage. So he fills that void in a big, big, big way. And especially when you got 330 somethings that you're leaning on, getting to the free throw line a lot, that's like built-in rest. That's LeBron and AD lived off of that in the bubble and have been living and lived off it all the years that they played together. It's a huge plus there. And then you look at where he's scoring from. He scores more than a third of his, or attempts more than a third of his shots at the rim. Andrew Wiggins was attempting half of that, like 14% of his shots at the rim. Both shoot about 60% there. So he's added dynamics. And then defensively, he's been as good, if not better, than Wiggins. And I think the biggest thing is Jimmy's got swagger. Jimmy's got presence. Jimmy's got that he's got bravado. And since Draymond has fallen off a little bit, his bravado doesn't resonate the same way. And so I think Jimmy, just from a culture standpoint, a chemistry standpoint, has added something that is intangible. Now, I don't know that I don't see them going past the second round, but I see them as a playoff team and as a dark horse to win at least one round.
Quick question regarding the Warriors before we get to the Suns.
Yeah.
So there's been no adversity yet for the Warriors with Jimmy Butler. We know Draymond runs hot. He had issues with Kevin Durant. He has barked at many players. It doesn't usually end well. Jordan Poole, we know how that did. There's no shot he's yelling at Jimmy Butler, right? There's zero chance that he's going to be barking stuff at Jimmy Butler, who is an alpha in his own right.
Those guys are twins.
Yeah, I don't. So
they're the same.
What's
they're the same
guy?
I don't see problems. I mean, what's he going to yell at Jimmy about? Jimmy's all about defense. Jimmy's about sharing the ball. When Jimmy's motivated and feels like he's being treated fairly, then he's a great teammate and he's a great presence. He checks all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
It's when he thinks that Miami, like, oh, you're not going to pay me. I need to get out of here because this is my last swing at the big pinata. Like, I need to be someplace else. You're saying you're not going to trade me. I'm going to make everybody so miserable that you're going to have no choice. That's Jimmy just being Jimmy. But when Jimmy is right, boy, is he right.
Pretty impressive stuff. Let's wrap up with the Phoenix Suns, Rick. Probably the biggest disappointment. I know the Sixers are up there, but the Suns, I think, have to be. Like, everybody thought, like, okay, you guys got swept by the Timberwolves. You're going to bounce back. They've been relatively healthy. Yep. I know, Beal's missed some games. KD's missed some games. This has been just probably like the biggest cluster for KD since leaving the Warriors. And I've got to ask you, like, nobody thinks KD's going to stay with the Suns after this. I just don't know where he lands. The only team I keep coming back to is if a Houston were to go down in the first round and they're like, we need more firepower, maybe they make a trade for him. But other than that, like, I don't, I floated the Washington Wizards. Maybe he goes home.
Oof.
The Wizards get Cooper Flag. You've got KD, Cooper Flag, and I don't know, whoever, whatever, Jordan Poole, whatever. But that seems like a long shot. I just don't know what becomes of Kevin Durant, who he's really screwed things up, man. That departing the Warriors, that injury against the Raptors in the finals, I mean, nothing's ever been the same. I know his toe was on the line against the Bucks, but it's been disappointing for Kevin Durant.
This is the wildest part of all this. I don't care. Like, Kevin Durant can go wherever he wants to. Like, do I think it's going to change the power dynamic of the league? Wherever he goes, do I suddenly go, oh, those are now championship contenders? Like, we have to look at it for as talented as he is and as innocuous as his presence is with teams. He's not necessarily a troublemaker, but he's also, I mean, this is the mistake that I made, is I looked at the Phoenix Suns. I looked at the way Devin Booker played with the Olympic team. Mm-hmm. I looked at the way Kevin played with the Olympic team. And I was thinking, you know what? These guys are going to springboard off of this experience, being around those great players, and they are going to come back and they're going to be different guys and they're going to lead this Phoenix Suns team. And it simply hasn't happened. No. And I had a GM. I told him, I said, this is what I was thinking. And he was like, he goes, look, Devin Booker came off the bench at Kentucky. He's a great scorer. He's never had to lead. And when he had his greatest success, Chris Paul was there to lead the team. Like, he's never stepped into that role. And at this point, I don't know that he ever will. He's a good guy. I think he's a very talented player. But who's the leader of that Phoenix Suns team? Kevin Durant has said many times, I don't want to. Don't ask me for that. I show up, I work hard, I ball. I'm not, don't ask me to be a leader. Don't ask me to be the face of the franchise. Don't ask me to do any of that stuff. I'm not interested in that. And I'm like, okay, fine. But then you get what you get because you're on a team that has a vacuum. And honestly, I feel like KD could. I feel like if KD wanted to embrace that role, guys would follow him. Yeah, but there's a responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah.
And there's a weight. But he doesn't want it. And so as a result, he doesn't want it. Devin Booker doesn't know how to do it. And the Phoenix Suns, as a result, are immensely talented. And to your point, probably not going to make the playoffs. It's amazing.
You look at any list, Rick, of the top 10 players of all time, and everybody's got like a couple different ones. One common thread among all those guys is they were all alpha leaders in the locker room. Yep. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, all those guys, big time leaders.
You didn't have to ask them to be leaders.
No. And Kevin Durant,
they were like, I am the leader.
Top 10. I don't think you can. He's not a top 10 guy all time. Top 15, he has a strong case. But like, again, you compare the careers of Curry and Durant, and I'm sorry, I think it's Curry, and it's not particularly close.
I think where we get tangled up is if you look at just in terms of pure ability, scoring wise, and ability to score at three levels, and you look at Kevin's size, you look at it and you go, well, he's a more accomplished scorer. The game comes easier for him in scoring just because of his combination of skills and physical size and gifts. It's much tougher for Steph to get a shot. I mean, it really is remarkable that he makes the shots that he does and he gets the shots that he does. But the difference, and I don't know that people really can appreciate this unless you've been around both of them and you've seen their impact on a team. Steph Curry is, we talk about gravity on the floor. The gravity that he provides when it comes to bringing a team together and making everybody feel like they're capable and part of, and the way he celebrates them. I know that sounds like Harry high school type stuff, but there's a real legitimate aspect to Steph Curry's indistinguishable belief and the confidence that he infuses his teammates with and the example that he sets. Yeah. Because everybody wants to look at the Draymond Green and Jordan Poole thing. The first thing I remember is Jordan Poole taking a stupid shot and Steph Curry throwing his mouthpiece. Like, Draymond Green wasn't the only one who had issues with the way that Jordan Poole played.
He is the only one.
Simply that Draymond Green decided to do something about it in a more violent way than anybody decided.
All right, Rick, let's wrap up real quick. So I had this really hot take maybe a month or so ago, that inside the NBA has been bad for the league in that it is so negative among the best teams and players that it's tuning fans out. It's like if the number one show is going to be so negative, then why would fans be negative? Why would they tune in? They keep, all they do is bash the product. Too many threes. Warriors are soft. Kevin Durant's a bus driver or whatever. Not a bus driver. Whatever. All the negative comments. And quietly, we've heard Channing Frye come around. Yeah, TV league partners are being too negative. They're hung up on Michael Jordan. And then you hear Gilbert Arenas come out. And hey, the negativity coming from some of these popular shows, you're starting to hear people come to my side. Now, again, it's just a couple people. I know you've known Barkley forever.
Yeah.
You're tight with Shaq. I wasn't blasting those guys. Rick, I feel like anytime I turned it on, they were taking a dump on somebody. Anthony Edwards, what does he want? And I just got sick of it. Your thoughts, and you could disagree with me. I'm not going to be bothered.
Well, I think we remember them dumping on people because they don't hold anything back. They go overboard, and two, because nobody else does, particularly when it comes to the broadcast partners. I get as sick to my stomach when I hear players being lauded that for things that are not laudable and are being or overwrought in terms of what they are doing. And maybe that's me kind of seeing it as a whole, or being, having come up as a journalist and you want to be objective. But I don't think you can lie to the fans either. I don't think you can be out there and saying, "Well, this is the game's never been better, and all these 3-point shots." Wait,
do you think the game has been better?
What's that?
Do you think the game has been better than it is right now?
Oh, hell yes. The game. Wow. This is such a dumbed down version of the game.
We'll have to have a deep conversation.
There are plenty of highlights, right? But the game, I'm watching Hornets Warriors. It was like an AAU game. I mean, there's no LaMelo. Even Lakers Mavs. Like, the ball's just being thrown all over the place. Like,
Karl Malone's like a top 20 player all time. Rick,
what's
Karl
that?
Malone, Karl Malone's a top 20 player all time, right? Great player, went to the finals twice.
Yep.
Who is more skilled? Paolo Banchero or Karl Malone? Take your time on this one.
As of right now?
Yeah.
Karl Malone.
No way. Paolo Banchero has way more in his bag already. He's a better shooter.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Where are their Land of Magic right now?
If you, I don't care. I said Paolo Banchero. I didn't say the Magic. If you give Paolo Banchero the ball at the top of the 3-point line, he can take almost anyone off the dribble, get to the 10, and score.
I love Paolo Banchero as much as anybody. He's in the book that I'm just wrapping up, the manuscript that I'm just wrapping up. Nice. So you're singing to the choir when it comes to Paolo, but this to me, what you just did is exactly why people like Charles Barkley and maybe even me, and why there's so much negativity out there. Because we don't go, Paolo Banchero's a great player, and look at all the skills he has. We have to immediately take an all-time great who went to the finals twice, who has done all these things for years and years and years and never missed games. Like all the things that Karl Malone did, and we're going to say, yeah, Paolo Banchero's better.
Well, a skill. I'm sorry. That's a fair point. That's a great comeback. I like that.
But that's not how you framed it. And that's what happens all too often. We're saying, you know what, Anthony Edwards looks a lot like Michael Jordan. Or somebody does a fadeaway, turnaround jumper, and they go, who does that remind you of? Kobe Bryant. I'm like, okay, yeah, the shot reminds me of Kobe Bryant. The player does not remind me of Kobe Bryant. Anthony Edwards' athleticism reminds me of Michael Jordan's athleticism. Anthony Edwards does not remind me of Michael Jordan in any way, shape, or form. So when we start putting those two names together,
it just pisses you off.
Yeah. At this point, that's what gets people worked up about saying, that's what causes the negativity, is that we had crown guys way before they've accomplished anything.
That's fair. Now, again, this group of young guys who are like 6'10", the Wagner, Banchero, Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
They're at such a different skill level than we've ever seen for 6'10".
Sure.
6'10" guys used to be power forward bruisers, the Charles Oakley of the world. Then you got a couple Rashard Lewis who could just hit threes, but they're not going to really take you off the bounce that often.
Agreed.
These guys are a combination of the bigs and the skill. And that's why
we got a bunch of Kevin Garnett's out there.
That's not a terrible one. Yeah. I mean, these guys are immensely skilled. And that's why I think the league now is better than it's ever been, and I don't think it's even close. Now, is it as pleasing on the eyes because there's so much more on the eyes? Like I could go on my phone and doom scroll for an hour and miss 2/4 of a game
and not miss anything.
Well, that's also you're seeing
and not miss anything.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in 1987, I had to watch one NBA game a week if I were home and it were on TV because I didn't have cable and there just wasn't any game.
I mean, I think the exposure to the game that's been here for a while. And we have players that play in a unique style today, more of them than we did in the past, but that's because the game has changed too. A lot of these guys couldn't get on the floor if they didn't have a post game. Right? They've developed skills that fits today's game. Now, where I take issue with is suggesting that Michael Jordan or Karl Malone or any of these guys who perfected their skills to the nth degree to fit the game that they played would not be able to do the same in today's game. And the question that I have is, because it was so physical and it was so tough back in the day, and there was so many bigger bodies clogging the paint, and that's where you had to score. The 3-point shot simply wasn't part of the strategy. It wasn't because people couldn't shoot it. It was because coaches didn't game plan for it. My issue is, you take any of those guys and you put them in today's era, they are going to adopt. They're going to have the same games that we have today. And who would be better or not? That's impossible to answer.
Impossible. It's just a fun discussion that you have with buddies at a game or at a bar or whatever. You're hanging out.
Yeah,
and
which is fine. But the declarative, you got me all riled up. Paolo Banchero is way better than Karl Malone.
I would stand.
I can't stand on
skill
that.
Is immensely better. I mean, I don't even think it's close.
But but Paolo is allowed to do things and has been developed to do things.
Yeah, Jerry Sloan might have pulled
Karl Malone was not.
I mean, I had another one. I know you got to go and I'm running late. Sorry. I said Austin Reeves is as good of a player right now or better than Mark Price was in his best season when he was all NBA. And a bunch of heads exploded. I had friends, Jason, what are you talking about? Mark Price was so good. I'm like, yeah, no shit. He was really good. Austin Reeves, he could do everything Mark Price did. And by the way, he's 6'7".
Can Austin Reeves lead a team the way that Mark Price did? Because he's never been asked
that team.
He's never been
Brad
asked.
Doherty, Ron Harper, Larry
Mark
Nance.
Price. Mark Price was the engine of that team. And if you say Austin Reeves is now going to be what LeBron James was. He's going to be the focal point of your offense, night in and night out. And he's going to take this team to the playoffs. If Austin Reeves was your point guard or your primary playmaker, could he take a team to the playoffs? Could he take him to the second round?
Yes. Mark Price got to one conference finals.
That's what Mark Price did on a consistent basis.
Wait, I'm looking it up now. He got to the second round twice. They got swept by Jordan, and then they lost 4-3 to the Celtics. I'm sorry. They lost 4-3 to the Celtics. So,
okay. How many times did they go to the playoffs?
Almost every year.
What?
Almost every year. Yeah, very good. They had good teams. They were good 50-win teams that didn't show up in the playoffs.
Led by there's a reason why he was the all NBA guy.
He was first team all NBA.
They were led by him. Between his scoring, talk about pick and roll champions. Like
formidable.
He was amazing. And
I loved him at
Austin,
Georgia
I don't want
Tech,
to take anything from Austin. Is like Austin tortures guys. I'm still amazed that he gets the love that he does from the officials, because he is very good at drawing fouls. Half of the fouls that he gets are not fouls. If you look, I mean, he is really perfected. Like, he's as good as any flopper in the league. He does the herky jerk, and he makes everything look like he just got barreled. And the reality is, I was just watching the game last night. There was at least three calls. 3 of them were legit. Forced, the defender got him off balance, created the contact. Good, you're going to the line. There was 3 of them. You watch it. I'm like, there's nothing happened other than Reeves made it look like something happened.
He's selling stuff. He's
hanging with LeBron. Good. I mean, he is good at it. But usually guys that are like the, undrafted ad guy, like the role players usually don't get the calls that Austin gets. It's pretty impressive.
It is. Yeah. Maybe it's the headband. All right, Rick, I kept you way too long. Ric Bucher, super busy. You can find him everywhere. He's been covering the league forever. I'm excited about this new book. Is there one guy headlining it, or what? Do you want to tease it or not really?
No, it's I've been promoting it in my podcast. It's Coachable: The Difference Between Good and Great. And it looks at athletes and sports across the spectrum, from Steve Young to Brandi Chastain to Landon Donovan to Rose Zhang to Caroline Marks, the surfer who just won gold medal at the Olympics, to Dirk Nowitzki to Paolo Banchero, Fred VanVleet.
Damn.
And how they and their parents' willingness to allow them to face adversity as they were coming up and synthesize who and what they wanted to be with someone else's vision of who and what they could be is what allowed them to accomplish what they did, as opposed to now where it's like, and I just experienced this firsthand with my kids. Like, if your kid isn't getting a D1 scholarship or they're not starting on their AAU team, well, it must be the coach.
Yeah.
It's like, it can't be my kid.
No way.
Like I got to go find another team. I got to go find somebody who's going to put my kid, or my kid needs to be seen. I need my kid to be seen. No, your kid needs to learn how to play and how to accept failure and to look at their shortcomings and work on them. That's what they need.
That's awesome. Do. I love that. Ric Bucher, continued success, my friend. I'll see you soon.
You got
it. Sorry to keep you so long, bud. That was freaking fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
I like it. All right, man.
Are you going to Chicago?